have come here to Nsambya Hospital to check on one of our colleagues, the Honorable Francis Zaake, who was beaten in the house, very brutally beaten by one of our colleagues, the Honorable Akol. We kept wondering where the fury and anger of the Honorable Akol came from, because we've seen videos of him raiding blows on the Honorable Zaake. We don't know whether it was a setup like that, really, for all of what happened to happen as it did. From the word go, as we arrived at Parliament, the situation was different. There was heavy security deployment, those in uniform, those not in uniform, and members were finding it hard to even access Parliament, the premises of Parliament. In fact, some had to abandon their cars wherever they did. They got to Parliament late. Maybe it was part of the longer plan for this delay tactic. In getting started in the House, I did raise the concerns that we have about our Speaker of Parliament. Her bias regarding especially the coffee bill, because we did see her remarks in the media as she was having a chat with the government chief whip, saying, you know, mobilize the numbers and that kind of thing. And then she even went tribal to say, you know, let's make sure this Baganda don't have the numbers, as if this was a fight against Baganda and Uganda. It was important that we raise these issues on record for the Speaker to respond to them. Of course, she first began by, you know, playing hide and seek around it. But these are concerns that we still have. And then as House was proceeding, of course, a member got beaten. We told her, but look, how do we proceed with relative ease when Parliament has become a scene of crime? A member was beaten in the presence of the Speaker, and clearly she didn't seem interested in doing anything about it, because perhaps she came with orders, regardless who is beaten, who is, I don't know, injured in whichever way, the House must proceed somehow. The Speaker then went ahead to suspend members without giving any reason, at least that is cogent. Because that's important. When you're suspending members, why are you suspending members? Because the House rules even allow us to protest against the Speaker's decision and many different things and so on. And if she's talking about being rowdy, I told her that colleagues on the NRM side are being rowdy, even as I was submitting. She didn't do anything about it, but she was very quick to suspend our colleagues from the House. Clearly, this was entirely choreographed. Lessen the numbers on the opposition side, because they're the ones pushing against this bill. And she was playing according to that script. The media was thrown out of the chambers, something that is unusual, that is unacceptable, even according to our rules, because Rule 23 provides that our House sittings must be in public. Now, the entire public, 46 million Ugandans, cannot come and join us in the House, but they do so through the media. So Speaker Anita Mong did not want the public to follow the proceedings of the House, to see who is voting how regarding the coffee bill. And so she threw the media out. In fact, they were sent out locked in conference hall B. It's as if they were under arrest themselves. Some of them, their gadgets were confiscated, footage being deleted and all of that. And I kept thinking, how does the Speaker, who is meant to be the custodian of the rules, behave the way she did? Clearly, this was entirely choreographed. Throw the media out, and then after that, the lights were switched off. After switching off the lights, they switched off network. There was no connectivity. And then we saw Kanyamas, hooligans, in plain clothes, in vests, in tight shirts. Clearly, Kanyamas, we don't know where they picked them up from. They entered the chambers, they began to shove us around, beat up people, and then they were picking up a couple of MPs, taking them in a very rough manner outside the House. And as we were asking, who are you? What are you doing here? They were pushing us around, shoving everybody off. And clearly this was at the instruction of the Speaker of Parliament, because she tried to feign ignorance. How do you say you're feigning ignorance? It is your House. All that is happening is under your command, pretty much. So we are holding the Speaker responsible for all of this. Switch off the lights, switch off internet connectivity, chase the media away, and then you bring hooligans in Parliament to beat up members of Parliament. Because you see, We are in that house to deliberate on behalf of our people. Even when we are against certain things, it is our right to be against some of these bills that, as far as we are concerned, are anti-people. But the Speaker does not seem to want for us to do that. Perhaps because she has instructions from her boss, General Museveni, who has been very vehement in as far as coffee is concerned. He has called those of us who are against rationalizing UCDA, he has called us criminals, terrorists, and all of that. And so perhaps gave instructions to Speaker Anita Among to treat us like criminals, to bring people in the house, to beat us up, to bundle us up, as has happened. Many of our colleagues were assaulted. We saw these kanyamas going after female members of parliament, roughing them up, tearing their clothes, handling them in very inappropriate places. And yet the Speaker of Parliament is a woman, and she lets this happen, and she does not seem to be concerned at all. Shame upon you, Speaker Anita Among. How can this happen under your leadership, under your command? Because as far as I'm concerned, she is the one who has given all of these instructions. She cannot pretend, because has she called anyone to order in as far as this is concerned? We got back to the house and I put all of these issues to the Speaker, and then she began to pretend like she didn't know what happened, feigning ignorance, as if you know, to say, I don't know what happened, I don't know who was beaten, I don't know who switched off the lights. Come on, we are not children. Meanwhile, the media was still away. We decided that for today, we shall step out of the house, number one, because our colleagues were beaten up, many arrested, taken to whichever detention centers. We needed to establish what is the state of our colleagues, because I told the Speaker, even those of us from the opposition, you are our leader. It is your responsibility to make sure your members are safe. How do you proceed with the House sitting when you don't know what has happened to your members and you're pretending not to know at all? But also, the public was now cut off from following what's happening in the House. So Parliament was incomplete, because our rules provide that our sittings are meant to be in the public. That's Rule 23. So clearly Parliament was incomplete, and we said, no, we cannot proceed for today with all of this happening. So we said, let's go, first of all, to check on our colleagues, because we cannot pretend to sit in the House. The media has been locked out, so the public is not following. Potentially, they could still continue to do whatever they wanted to do, beat us all up and so on, without anyone knowing what's happening. So we said we cannot sit there in with all of those irregularities happening without us knowing the fate of our colleagues. So we said, let's leave the house, come, check on our colleagues who are in hospital, make that assessment to see their state, and to see how we proceed with these issues. What's for sure is that the war regarding coffee and general economic empowerment of the people of Uganda is not over. Today's sitting was simply a battle within the bigger war. So they might think that by roughing us up, beating up colleagues, and all these, reckless suspensions and so on, the threats, they might think they have won the war. But this war is not against us as members of Parliament. This war by General Yoweri Museveni, Speaker Anita Among, and others is against the people of Uganda. And it's important that they know that. We are only representatives of the people of Uganda. So they think that they are fighting against us. No, they are fighting against the people of Uganda. And the people of Uganda, as we have been saying, it's important that they rise up and join us in this bigger war. Because we saw what happened to vanilla, we saw what happened to cotton, we saw what has happened to sugarcane. That a ton of sugarcane can fall from 250,000 shillings to 50,000 shillings. And now they want the same thing to happen to coffee, because now coffee prices are high. Some Seven is thinking, no, we must get hold of that as well, because once these people are economically empowered, they are difficult to rule. They make their own decisions. And so this economic war by General Yoweri Museveni, Speaker Anita Among, and others like them is against the people of Uganda. And it has not ended. Like I've said, today's sitting was just a small battle, part of the bigger war. That war has not ended, in as far as the people of Uganda are concerned.
Kuno kunuma ekisambi kinuma n'omukono gunuma ne muno mabeere naye olaba ekibadde omubadde mu bulya police parliament kibadde kizikiza nga bavudde gye bavudde abantu bano nga bamaze okukwata mu ngeri embi ddala banaffe aye nange ne batandika okuba nga bajja bakwata bansika bakutta abalala bakutte magulu abalala bali ku ngatta abalala bali mu bulago abalala bakutte muno mu mabeere abalala bali ku bisambi naye kyewuunyisa abasajja okuba nga be bazze ku bisambi byaffe ne batandika okuba nga be babaliko ne batukwatako eyo enkolera tugivumirira abasajja okuba gye bavudde ne batandika okukwata ffe abakazi twagala twongere tumanye kiki ekibadde ekigenderera ekyokuba nga abasajja be bakwata ffe ba MPs so embeera tugivumirira naye tekinnaggwa tuli ku nsonga za bulamu bw'abantu era ffe katumale okujjanjabibwa tujja kumala tuddewo. Interestingly, those of you who could hear about Parliament, today it was different. But I'm among the victims of today's fracas in Parliament. I was hit in the thighs, I was hit in the breast. They really had to pull by hand, and we wonder what they were up to because these SFCs or whatever kind of security they were not in uniform. They just finished off everyone. I was not anywhere out of the list, but they came and now started taking me on. It was now that scuff when the MPs started pulling and they're saying, no, she's not bad, she's not known of anything. That's how somehow they could leave me. But somehow I'm still having pain. It's not yet over.
Muluga. Enteesaganya oba okuteesa okubaddewo olwaleero mu Parliament ku ky'emmwanyi terubaddeemu mazima, terubaddeemu bwenkanya, terubaddeemu bwerufu. Okusookera ddala munnaffe Honorable Zaake atuusiddwako bukosefu, takuumiddwa, tayambiddwa, so nga ate ensako ey'obukuumi eteekebwamu ssente empitirivu. Abasirikale abatendeke bavaayo bangi nga batukuuma, naye gye bayise okumutuusaako obukosefu obwenkanidde wano nti ali mu ddwaliro alwanirira bulamu bwe kyewuunyisa naye mu byonna kiswaza era Parliament eswadde. Ebyo bayisizza byabwe tetulina kakwate ku byo era tujja kumaliriza nga kiri eri omulimi bw'aba asazeewo kubanga kakati omulamuzi asembayo bw'anaaba asiimye anaabawa emmwanyi, bw'aba n'aba tasiimye tajja kubawa mmwanyi.